Hello, everyone. Welcome to Relatable Stories. I'm your host, Angeline Gahadza, and I'm very excited today to be hosting Kevin Muza, who is here to talk to us about divorce and what we did wrong. I know everybody is excited, and so am I, because, Uplift the Sister Relatable Stories was birthed from a journey of emotional abuse. And while I was healing, I was also taking responsibility of the things that I did wrong in my situation. So, for those that are joining us for the first time, Relatable Stories is just about telling stories that are relatable in order to help us to cultivate self-love, to find those areas that we might otherwise not know if we don't share the stories that are taboo in our society, in our circles. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring to the show Kevin Muza. Hello.
Hey, Ange.
How's it going, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm as excited as 1,000 of other people on Facebook and on Instagram that wanted to see you today.
Oh, I know, eh? It's a lot of build up to it and a lot of expectation.
No, I mean, but we know this story. We own this story, so we're just gonna be us. I'm excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very honored to have
Thank you.
such a cool dude gracing us, looking all dope with the Volks Academy regalia.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, hey, side hustles.
I love it. I love it. Gamu, I know you, but I think that it would be great if you could introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you're about, and well, why you're here.
All right, cool. I don't even know where to start, eh?
Just
Obviously, I
anywhere.
come from. I don't even know. Let's talk about this. I'm come from Zimbabwe.
Mm,
Family of five, and I am that middle child. So I'm split
mm,
between. I've got an older brother and older sister. Then there's me. Then after me comes the twin sisters. So I think I always say to people, I was born to disturb the natural order of things because my father had they had a son and a daughter. Then I appear, disturbed everything. It's now two boys and a girl. Now they try to balance it out to bring in another girl so that they have two boys and two girls. Then they were blessed with two girls. So I think they said, you know what, let's just leave this. But yeah, I've always been a person that loves to disrupt the order of normal things. And I think
mm,
that's what I've been living up to. Um, but yeah, I'm a guy that's coming out of divorce, like we're talking about today. Father of two beautiful children, Yamkela, Kevin Jr., and Zolani N. So those are my two kids. Yamkela is 13, Zolani is 11. But yeah, that's basically who I am. Currently staying in Cape Town, working for our very own, yes. But yeah, pretty much excited. That's pretty much who I am at the moment. And I think that's what I'll probably share with them. Yeah, I do have a side business, Volks Academy. And yeah, that's pretty much, I think, what I can share with the guys for now. The rest, I'm sure they will figure out as we go and
yeah,
pick it up
yeah.
as we go in the show. Yeah.
I mean, I've just learned a few more things that I didn't know about you. Thanks for sharing that.
Really?
Thanks for sharing that. Oh, I just wanted to mention, guys, I'm here dressed by Chenesa today. Chenesa Boutique.
Oh yeah,
They're dope, man, guys. I'm so excited to be wearing my very own T-shirt from them. So
cool,
I
cool.
mean,
I'm waiting for mine. I'm waiting for mine.
yeah, we'll sort you out. We'll just sort you out. I'm also going to be ordering a hoodie from Vox Academy because,
You
well,
should.
we need shop.
Cool, cool, man. Thanks.
All right, so let's get into it. Come, we're like,
Yeah.
we divorced, dude. Like we're young people, and this is not what we expected in life. We expected the
No, not at
forever.
all.
We expected the forever,
Mm,
and we expected a lot. And so
yeah.
it's difficult for us to accept, or it was difficult for me to accept that I had to walk that journey of being a divorcee. And it was difficult for me to walk away. And it was also very difficult for me to get to a point where I'm like, I played a part
In
making this and getting there,
exactly,
and
yeah,
a lot of people don't understand, because sometimes you pull the plug, sometimes the other person pulls the plug,
it
but
does,
it's
yeah.
the same thing anyway. So
Mm,
I'm really glad that you're here, willing to be vulnerable, to talk to us about how you feel you had a responsibility in actually getting to where you are right now. Just tell
yeah.
us, why is that? How did you get to a point where you're like, I played a part? It wasn't just a one-man thing.
Um, so the thing is, if we had this conversation, I would probably say a year and a half ago, I
Hmm.
would have a totally different response to what I'll be saying now, or what I've been saying for the past year or so.
Right.
The reason why I say that is because a lot of times when we walk out of relationships, we want to look at what was done to me.
Right.
And every other time when we then tell the story, we're telling it as from a point of view of this is what was done to me, so I had to leave, right?
Right.
But we now need to have a different way of telling the story. Let's talk about what did I do? And which is where now you're bringing us to this table where the two of us can sit down and say, you know what, let's just talk openly and
Yeah.
let's bring out the points to say, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Now, this would then go a long way in helping other people because us sitting down like this, we have probably come a very long way. We have healed over this now that we can be able to talk about it.
Right.
Excuse me. Because
Or still
if
healing.
you see now, if you still find it difficult to talk about it, then you
Hmm.
still haven't you're not yet completely done with your healing. You're
Right.
still healing. But now that you can sit down and talk about it and you don't have any bad vibes or any bad emotions towards it, it shows
Hmm.
that you've completely closed that door and it's fine. Now
Right.
we can talk about it from a learning perspective to say, what is it that you learned?
Right.
Now, how do I look at what I learned from there? How is it important or why is it important? It's important because for the next person that I'm going to have in my life, I need to totally avoid the same things that I did in the last relationship.
Very, very
Because
well said.
the moment I focus on what was done to me, right? Or if
Hmm.
I want to talk about what was done to me, I am solely going to be looking out for those things.
Right.
But the more I pay attention to what did I do, now that then brings me to a point of then actually saying, okay, when I'm about to do it again in the next relationship, I'm going to pull myself back, say, dude, do you remember? This is
Right.
what you did last time. This is
Right.
what then got you into that mess the other time. This is what got you to lose the other person the other time. So
Right.
that's what we need to build on. That's what we need to focus on. So
Mm.
let's look. That's why now we're having this conversation to say, dude, what exactly did I do wrong? So I think that's a good beginning or a good spot for us to start off from.
No, I mean, well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, how then do you cultivate a new relationship with baggage that you haven't actually sorted out? And a lot of
Exactly.
times we don't want to be accountable, and that's the reason why we are going through the same patterns of the same
Mm,
relationship,
mm,
everything that we're doing. So
yeah.
I really commend you, Gamu, for being such a big man, because for me it takes a bigger man to
Yeah.
be vulnerable in that way.
Yeah.
I'm also a bigger man.
The bigger girl. You're the
I'm
bigger
also a bigger
girl.
man because I'm not trying to be a victim here, even
Yeah.
though I am trying to talk about the toxicity that kind of comes into relationships and that we cannot stand for, emotional abuse and all of that. But even in those situations, there are choices that people make that
Yeah.
get you into that, and every single individual is responsible for those things. So
Cool.
let's now get into the juicy stuff. we
Ooh.
we know you as like an amazing person. Like, what's there not to love about Kev, guys? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kev, what is it that you did though, fam?
I- so as soon as I put up the post, that's the same question that kept coming up. A lot of people are like, dude, from the time that I've known you, you've just been this great person. And so
Right.
how is it that, you know, you could end up talking about you actually divorced? But some people didn't even know that I was.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't either.
but I would, oh yeah, including you. So I would want to talk about, I think, to kickstart us off is the two most important things that I feel were the biggest contributors to then me ending up where I am now, right?
Mm,
The first thing is the trust issue, right?
right.
Um, so the earlier parts, of our marriage, obviously, there was the issue of the friends that you have, right? The
Okay.
people that you bring into the marriage with, right? The people that you come into that, because you're an individual when you're outside. And
Right.
when you then get married, you're now being joined to the person, right? You guys are
Right.
becoming one. You're more or less aligning everything else around you to be centered on the two of you being together, right?
Right.
Now, this is as much as we say, can you be an individual yet you are in the relationship, because that's going to be more or less healthy for you guys on the long run.
Right.
But the question is, to what extent are you being an individual? Now, when you're becoming an individual, to the extent that there's certain things that you then leave or you do not talk or you do not tell your partner about, then that's where the problem comes in. Because by the
Okay.
time they probably catch on to those things, they now have questions as to why was I not told?
Mm-hmm.
And by the time when you then get confronted about it, you're most likely going to be in defensive mode,
Right.
you know,
Right.
which is another thing. When you then talk to the guy, I am one person that would be very defensive about a lot of things. If I
Yeah.
can't explain myself out, I'll be very defensive. I don't want to talk about it. Just leave me alone. Okay.
Relatable.
Because I am trying to put that distance so that I think in the background, I
Mm-hmm.
process it, and then I can come back to you later.
Right.
So that is one of the things that I failed at most of the time. One, not being a person that's able to face an issue head on.
Right.
I would always want to put things off for later. You
Right.
know, if I don't have an answer for it now, don't talk to me about it. We'll deal with it later.
Mm.
But now I did not realize that I am damaging the other person that I'm with,
Right.
because for them, they're a person that's okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's deal with this issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the more I keep pushing my side of the fence to say, this is how I want things done, I
Right.
am slowly chipping away at their confidence in trying to talk to me about anything.
Right.
So with time, she'll probably just leave things. It's like, okay, she'll probably get to know, okay, these are the things that I would talk to him about this. But I destroyed that part.
Right.
Whereas I could have been a better person in that I could have opened myself to say, you know what, right now I don't have an answer for this.
Mm-hmm.
Can we be able to talk about it later? Right?
Right.
But because you're in the heat of the moment, it's the way that I respond. I'll probably not give what you call it a respective response.
Right.
In that way, now I am making you feel smaller and smaller every other time. And that is one thing that I need myself in the next relationship to watch out for. That's the one thing I need every other guy to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When ladies come to you and they want to talk about stuff, that is
Right.
their nature. That is what they want to do. That
Right.
is how they deal with things. We are more on the quiet bit of things.
Mm-hmm.
But now what we're saying is, can you strike a balance between
Right.
who you are and what you want your relationship to work out as. Okay.
Precisely.
We'll get into that whole issue a whole lot more. Back to the trust thing now, I've destroyed the first 2-3 years of that, right? Because
Right.
I've insisted on maintaining certain relations. Why? Because I understood what those relations were, and I never made my partner understand.
Right.
Now, when they come to me asking me about it, I go defensive mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that say? I am communicating to them to say, this is more important than you.
Wow.
You
Wow.
see?
Wow.
So I kept that on for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Now, imagine how much damage I caused with that.
That's a lot. I can tell you that. Yep.
So the moment that we have done that, the moment I did that, I'm not
Mm.
even realizing the extent of the damage that I'm causing by what I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Years later, you then decide, okay, fine, you know what? I'll give in, I'll buckle in, right? Because this is what will make my partner happy.
Mm.
But at the same time, we have gotten over, we really haven't gotten over it. We have decided we've gone past it. But I have
Right.
not dealt with the damage that I have caused in that time frame.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But now, carrying on, I still expect you to be the same person. I still expect you to relate to me the same way.
The same
I still
way.
expect you to trust me the same way.
Right. Right.
But yet, I have already destroyed a certain part of you.
Oh, powerful.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And,
see that.
and then we go to the issue of being present.
Right.
Um, there is a difference, or there's a lot of issues that as a guy or as a man I could have easily dealt with had I been present
Right.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I would just go as the day goes by. Let's just go with it, you know.
Let's go with
Let's
the
just flow
flow.
with it. Just flow with it.
It's just a
If
bit
things work out
spontaneous.
today, yeah. If things work out today, brilliant.
Mm.
If they
Okay.
don't work out tomorrow, yeah, well, look, I'm one of those people that don't take failure too hard.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to scale down, I can do that from 100 to 0. I need to start again. Okay.
Right. Right.
But the
Like you're an
question is,
optimist kind of person.
you see now,
Yeah.
but the question is, did I understand the level of tolerance my partner had? I just went into it and expected them to be as tolerant as I was, to be as resilient as I was, to be as resistive as I was. So if I could say, right, this thing is not working out, I'm moving back and I'm going back to stay with my parents.
Right.
That was me. And that was, let's do that. Okay. But here's the story. Was she that kind of a person? Did I take the time to understand? Did I take the time to,
Oh,
to balance the two, to say, okay, this is how I would rather deal with things. And okay, how would you rather we deal with the situation?
right.
Now, also look at it this way. The reason why I am probably quick to say this is not working, let me go there, is because I also hate pushing on things that are not working.
Right.
And you're with somebody that's hard down, it's let's work at it, it will work out. I would take the easy way out. That's just simple fact.
Yeah.
Take the easy way out. What's the best way around this? Okay, the best way is park the car here, leave it, and let's walk. That's me. And you're with somebody that's saying, no, let's figure it out. How do we go around with this car? Because we're going to need it. I'm like, no, leave the car here. Let's go. We'll figure out whatever we need to figure out when we go to the other side. You see? So there is, it seems like small things, but these are
Right.
major things over time,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would then cause damage in the other person.
I need to get our audience involved in this because you've
Sure.
talked about trust, you've talked about being present, and I've got my own versions of all of those things, and I think we need to get deeper into it so that if if people are going to be able to apply it into their own relationships, they can be able to, because all of these things, I feel they come up in all our relationship, but differently. So sometimes when you
Yeah.
say trust, when you say present, it might just show up differently a little bit, but it's the
Yeah.
same things that we're living through. And nothing is new under the sun. We all know this. So let's hear what these guys are saying. Uh,
Okay.
Great topic. Thank you, guys. Great points. We heard Gamu giving us great points. We've got fans here for Chinesa Boutique and Folks Academy. Thank you, guys. And Susio, our sister's here. She says, "Where did I go
Oh,
wrong?"
good
It's a
sis.
beautiful accountability question to look at yourself and learn and move forward. Good and bad lessons. Yes, thank you very much, Susio. Definitely, everybody needs to be asking that questions. Otherwise, we are not being authentic. And yeah, kudos for being authentic. I mean, authentically you, Gamu, thank you very much for showing us men can be vulnerable. Susio, men can be vulnerable. I mean, this is so great. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Someone says the importance of really knowing each other brings out the issue of compatibility. I think this
Yeah.
one is something that we need to push for from your point of view, where you're talking about trust and presence.
Yeah.
How do you get to know your person? How do you make sure you're being transparent? Because you said that um, when you started the relationship, it was an issue of bringing friends that you had, and you felt that maybe you didn't explain to them how these friends were really important to you, and so probably they didn't understand why they were getting attention that they thought was supposed to be theirs, or maybe why they're staying or lingering in your space.
Yeah.
How do you become transparent? How do you bring your partner into a space where they can trust the relationships outside them that you have?
So I think it all goes with the build up, right? Prior to actually you guys getting married. The moment, because in that time frame, this is where we're getting to know each other. You get to know me, you get to know my family, you get to know who I say are my friends, right?
Right,
The moment I don't bring that person bring that person up in the time frame where we're getting to know each other,
right,
and 2 years down the line you then ask me about this person, because obviously you probably have bumped into a conversation, you've heard me speaking to this person, you've seen me chatting to this person, and you ask me, so but what's going on, who's this, why are you spending more time talking to this person, something like that.
right.
And I'm like, but this is my friend, I've known this person for the last 8 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've known him for the past 8 years, but I've known you for the past 3 years. You have never mentioned this person, or they've never been that, in our space that
right.
much for me to say, yeah, you've known this person longer. But here's the thing, how do we introduce the person? How do we introduce the people that are in our lives to our partners? That's the most important bit, because
Okay.
the moment we fail to bridge that gap, to say, okay, look, I am stepping over, more so as well, talking to your friends, this is the person that I'm going to be with,
Right.
and then you bring in your person and say, okay, these are the people that I used to hang around with, can you come and hang around with us, so that they also have an understanding to say, oh, okay, so if Gamu says he's going to meet up with Daniel and Kennedy and all of these guys, what are they really
Right.
up to? Half the
Right.
time we're just probably sitting, listening to music. We're either watching a game, or we're probably playing basketball in the morning, or we're gonna hike, come back, have coffee, and sit down.
Yeah,
But
it's
if you
not.
don't, you see, if I don't introduce you to that, or if I don't show you that, you probably won't understand when I'm
Right.
telling you I'm going to hang out with the boys, or I'm going to
Right.
hang out. So it's how we bring out each other into these spaces. And then also, when I then bring you in, bring everybody else into that space, am I giving you enough confidence as my partner to say, if I'm going to say, okay, as a guy, I am going to have coffee with Angie, is
Right.
that going to be a problem for my partner? It also then comes to say, how did I introduce who Angie is in my life?
in my life. Oh, okay. Because you know what, Gamu, what I struggle with is I
Yeah.
never had a problem with being transparent and showing
Okay.
everyone in my life from the get go, but I
Yeah.
was very rigid in saying
Yeah.
they are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You found me with Chipo, you found me with Rumbi, with all
Yeah.
of these people. I know in my heart of hearts these people are important to me, and there's certain ways that they show up that maybe make my partner uncomfortable or whatever, and
Yeah.
I am blind to that because these people are my people, right? I
Mhm.
don't feel like they influence me in a bad way because I mean you met me and I was with them. They're not
I
new
was with
people.
them. Yeah.
So when you come and bring them up and you tell me you are uncomfortable with them, I'm not as open to I wasn't as open to having a conversation of actually understanding where you're coming from,
Mhm.
because I was like, it should be obvious that it's my friend, and if you love me you should know that I've got a good head on my shoulder, so the people that I choose to be around me are good. But then your partner is supposed to be there to balance you, and sometimes you have blind spots. You can have friends that are actually toxic that you don't know are toxic, and
Yeah.
um and so you are being rigid. You're like, he can see, your person can see, in my situation a person probably can see the toxicity that you can't see, and they're
Yeah.
trying by all means to find a way to tell you because you've been transparent, but they're failing. And if you don't give them that leeway or that opportunity to actually explain to you in a safe space without you being defensive and pushing and saying, now you're trying to change me, now you're trying to take my life away from me and all that,
Yeah.
then that becomes a problem. So it's also a matter of compatibility, like the person who commented had said, but also it's a
Mhm.
matter of finding a way to do this communication in a good way, knowing that you're both right, every viewpoint is good.
Yeah.
However, we have to get to a point where we iron it out, not sweep it
Mhm.
under the carpet, so that it doesn't actually become something that it's not. So
Yeah.
let's get because everybody is like talking.
But actually, hey, there's a question that came through because remember we're also live on the IG page. So
Right.
somebody asks, does your partner's friends automatically become your friends? Because we have
Woo,
friends
good
as
question.
individuals, right?
Yeah.
But is the point where there's this one marriage? I'm trying to
Mhm.
get this, but this is the point where no, there is out of marriage friends now. Okay, so I think they're just trying to ask,
Yeah.
when you then get married, do they automatically then become your spouse's friends just because they're your friends, or you keep your
Do you want
friends
me to
out?
answer that one first?
You can take that one.
I think that we want that. I wanted that, to be
Yeah,
able to just be able to hang out with my friend, my partner, and I thought that was the best way. And I
yeah.
think maybe I might have actually somehow low key imposed it, and
Mm,
but I don't think that it is supposed to be like that. I
yeah.
think that they're supposed to just understand who they are, and if
Mm,
they happen to also click, they can hang out. But you
yeah.
I think in a relationship you should have your individuality still there, where if these people are not your spouse's cup of tea, they don't
Yeah.
actually have to be in their
Have to
spaces all
be
the time.
true.
So
Yep.
Kennedy can come to your place and just say, hey, take
Yeah.
you for hiking, and
Yeah.
comes back, drops you, because maybe he's not a cup of tea to your person.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
I get you. I get
Yeah,
you
I don't
totally.
know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Those are directly my sentiments as well. That can we allow each other? I can introduce them to you, but it's up to
Yeah.
you to decide. Do you then want to hang out with us?
Mhm.
Or when I tell you that I'm actually going to go with Kennedy for hiking, you have the option to say, yeah, I want to come along because you have
Right,
fun when you come around us. But then you might decide, no, you know what? It's okay. You guys can
right,
go have fun, and then I'll spend my time with you and you come back. So you
exactly.
need to have those kind of people where it will always happen. It's not everybody that they're going to click with from your
Right.
circle of friends, and it's
Mhm.
not from everybody from my circle of friends that you're going to click with. So, but what I would then say is still allow your person. If I'm saying I'm going today, I am going to hang out with that kind of a person that probably you don't really get along with, allow me to do that, you know,
Right.
rather than then telling me, I don't like
Let
your
you go.
friend and I don't think you should
Yeah.
hang out with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's an element that he brings into my life that brings balance. So whether
Exactly.
you see it, understand it, but it is there and it needs to be maintained in that way, you know?
Yeah. And
So
I
yeah.
think also Gamud, we even if they like them, I think the
Mm,
mere fact that you mentioned that there's a balance that that person brings into your life,
mhm.
sometimes your partner doesn't need to be there for that to happen. Because I feel
Yep.
like if they're going to take along each time you hang out with Kennedy, whatever it is Kennedy was bringing to your life personally might actually be taken away because your wife is there. So they should, yes, we are now all friends, but I think they
Yeah.
should also allow you to have your personal space with your friend the way things used to be, just out
Yeah.
of respect, so that you can still,
Exactly.
Kennedy can still be as vulnerable as he was with you,
With you.
and you can still grow the way that you were growing from that. But like, yeah, we've got a lot of unpacking to do. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yep.
This one is saying, I was married to a version of you, Gamu. I lost my confidence in bringing issues to him because there was
Oh my
never
God.
an answer or
I'm
a
sorry
solution.
on his behalf as well.
So whoever's listening, whoever is putting off having an important discussion with their spouses, it's not a very good thing. It's invalidating somebody's feelings. There's better ways to do it, like
Yeah.
actually saying, I'm uncomfortable to address it right now, can you give me some time? Address
Yeah.
it in that way instead of being like Gamu and me, defensive, and making them feel invalidated.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So there's other comments. The importance of really knowing each other. Okay, this is the one we saw already.
Mm.
Real life James. I guess that's us.
Hoping that's
Yeah,
us.
maybe it's us. Susie says, I'm loving this conversation and kudos to both of you for owning your journeys and the parts where you didn't show up as well. The
Yeah.
thing is, people to be ready, they need to condition themselves a certain way. So my question to
Mm.
you both is, what does the prep work look like before I say I do? This is a very good question. Come, want to go first?
What is a prep work before I say I do?
Yeah.
I think for me, with what I've learned, it would be, do I know me first? Do I value me? And then when I then get to meet Angie, do I express myself in a way that she gets to know me? And then do I let her know how much I value me, just as me, without
Oh,
putting her into the picture or anything else? Do I know myself? Do I value myself?
do you even
Now,
want me to answer this question now when you're just like taking everything that
yeah, yeah, you should. But I
Okay,
think
okay,
for me, those are the two most basic things before I say I do.
okay.
Do I know myself? Do I value myself? And then also, how do I get to know? I need to get to know you as well as my partner.
Right, right.
I need to. I might not fully get to know you, but I
Mm-hmm.
need to understand how you function as a human. I need to know what makes you tick. I need to know what drains you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need to then create to be able to say, am I able to create that environment for Angie to then keep going?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know you, I'm going to be clutching at straws at every time you feel drained. And you're
Right.
looking to me to then say, you know what, help me out here.
And you don't know
I'm not
how.
saying you're supposed to be the other person's joy, but I'm saying there are times where you need to show up for
Mm-hmm.
your spouse.
Right, right, right.
Now, we're talking about the before. So there are times that you need to show up for your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, if I am to have a relationship with you, how supportive are you of my dreams? Do you even know what my dreams and goals are?
Mm-hmm.
Um, have I trusted you enough to share with you what my hopes and dreams are?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I have done that, are you a big enough person to help me along the way, even if it means I'm going to grow bigger than you?
Yeah. Yo, that's a good one.
Now, this then
Especially
takes
when it
me,
comes to it being a woman
you see
growing.
now, this
Yeah.
now then takes me to the point of the hope, the dreams part,
Yeah.
which is one of the things that I failed because I didn't have a goal. I wasn't driving towards anything.
I'm not laughing.
I can see you. I can see you're not laughing, yeah, because you and I are the same. But look, I'm just being honest. I
Yeah.
it was just working. Okay, I need to find a job. I'm at this job. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you've got odd little jobs that come on the side, then you drive for that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Now the problem is this: you are totally dependent on the system working if you don't have your own goal that you're driving towards. Because remember, in your own goal, you're going to push things to make them work. In a
Mm-hmm.
system where you're just on a job, if things go bad, we were reviewing this when we started, when this whole COVID thing started.
Right.
And we were fortunate enough that our company was not cutting down jobs.
Right.
But I sat down with a friend of mine, Brian, and we were saying, dude, had we gone through job cuts right now, where would you and I start?
Mm.
And we're thinking, dude, one, savings. There's probably no savings anyway. Two, you're going to start thinking, okay, I need to update my CV and I need to start looking for a job somewhere.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you have something that you're working on the side, now you're going to have to push that side hustle to say, this business now has to grow because this is where I am living from. This is
Right.
where my life is now dependent on.
Right.
So the goal part is something that we need to have. Do I know myself? Do I value myself? Do I know my partner? Do I value them? Do I have a goal that I'm driving towards? And have
Mm-hmm.
I made my partner understand what my goal is? And are they somebody that's going to be helping me with the goal?
Oh
I'll
my
leave
God.
you to then answer the other part of
Ah,
it.
I did. That's like what the hell. Anyway, I'm gonna get my answers from you and this wonderful person who said sometimes there isn't really nothing wrong with the other person, but lack of compatibility, different outlooks, etc. And I'm drawing from that from everything
Yeah.
that you've been saying, and what I wanted to say as well is if you are not going to be intentional about getting to know who you are,
Oh, that's a point.
or getting to know the other person, then you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to see the incompatibility between
Hmm.
the other person and yourself, right? You're just
Yeah.
rushing in, you're going with the feelings, and the last sometimes
Yeah.
that is the clouding everything else. And as soon as you're in the relationship, it goes away. So the prep
Yeah.
work, Susio, for me, this is the whole pillar of Uplifted Sister and Relatable Stories is self-love, because
Yeah.
I realized that even if we look at the greatest commandments in the Bible, God
Mm.
said love, we love, the first one is we have to love him, right?
Mm.
But the second one is we love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And it
Yeah.
is implying that we know how to love ourselves first, having
Hmm.
learned from God, right? And so
Yeah.
if you know how to love yourself, you can therefore love another being. But if you're not able to love yourself, if you are toxic to yourself, if you're abusive to
Mm.
yourself, if you
Mm.
you don't know or you don't pay attention to yourself, best believe
Mm.
you think that you are showing other people love, but you're actually not, because you don't have the skill. So
Yeah.
the prep work is use yourself as the I don't want to say guinea pig, but use directly take what God is giving and to apply it to yourself. If you know you
Yeah.
can do it for yourself, this is what you've elaborated and say you're able to actually know what your dreams are, you know what your
Mm.
limits are, you know what your boundaries are, you can keep
Yeah.
your boundaries, you know how to express yourself to other people, articulate how you
Yeah.
want to be treated, and you also know how to get to know people and to read people, and all those things, right? It
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
boils down to you being intentional about knowing who you are and how your
True.
cup can be filled. And then
True.
because you've got that on lock, when you
Hmm.
look at the next person and you're giving them love, you're able to also start to pick out those things about them. And that was one of my errors again, where I didn't have self-love. Just like you, I was floating. I was floating and I was being spontaneous, and I was going with the flow and the feelings, right? And I feel I didn't tell my partner when they were crossing lines that I was never able to live with. And I also was unaware of where they were, with the places I was taking them when they lashed out at me, etc. Right? Because I never took the time to get to know them. Yeah. So maybe we were incompatible to begin with, or maybe we could have been something better had I taken the time to know who they were. Had I not been living in the future, like I was telling you, Gamu, earlier, that sometimes you're overwhelmed with this whole whirlwind romance, and you're getting something that you were not getting from the other relationships that you had, and you're excited about this whole new love affair, and you take what is good of that, ignore what is bad, and then you're living in the future of, well, when the bad sorts itself out, because we tend to,
then we'll be okay.
It will happen eventually. We will be so happy. So I was living in a world where the future is going to be perfect after the other stuff is spontaneously sorted itself out, because that's what we do. We don't plan these things. I mean, come on. So guys,
we just roll like that.
Take notes from us. Get to know your people. Make sure your goals are aligned. The journey of self-discovery. Rumbi, where are you? Raise your hand. Say something. The journey of self-discovery is so important that our purposes in life, the God-given purposes, align. Right?
True.
Because if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what your purpose is, your partner who you're going to pick, not the one God picks for you, cannot support you in your purpose. They're not going to understand why you want to be doing labels and stuff and being on social media, doing relatable stories, trying to help other people. Why are you trying to put our business on television?
You see now.
Yeah.
And this is my time too that you're using.
Exactly. They want your time. They want you to, they don't understand you being this person using your voice for greater good. So you want someone who understands the space and all of that. Oof, we can talk forever, guys. Let me get back to you guys, and then Gamu, I know you still have a few more points to tell us about how you got to where you are. Okay, here it is, another comment. I think it's important to allow our partners to be themselves. Before we are partners, we are human beings who we have personal interests and likes. So it's important to respect. Most men, we forget that our partners are still people who are also allowed to choose their friends the same way we choose ours. I'm just going to do a thumbs up, because that is so true. We cannot dilute it. Gamu Muza, dude, you are being so honest. It's a scary way. In a scary way. I hope we can all get to that point. I mean, come on. Yes, of course. I'm hoping that all men start to get as vulnerable as Gamu right here, because I mean, we've been craving for years. Ladies, raise your hands. We've been craving for years for our men to just tell us what's going on with them, for them to tell us or to give us an indication of what it is that they would like us to show up as, except besides being so passive aggressive and telling us in without the love and respect.
In codes.
Okay. Most people I know are really in relationships / marriages for all the wrong reasons. Money and sex aside, Watona, but there's really nothing either of you is bringing to the table. Expectations, goals, dreams, strengths, and weaknesses are not even communicated clearly in the union. A recipe for disaster. Any comments on that?
I think that's a very true statement, Sometimes we're getting into these marriages for the wrong reason. Right. I always worry about people that are pressured because of age and feel like, just because I'm a certain age, so whoever comes along my way, I have to settle in it. And also sometimes, because we have not done the pre-work before the marriage, when we are then in there, like you're saying, we some people then push on just to say it will probably work, but we're not realizing that by forcing certain things, you know, we are just destroying the other person even more, right?
Right.
Now, here's a story.
Okay.
I love
I like
giving this
stories.
illustration.
I like stories.
I love giving this illustration.
Okay.
So you walk into a construction place, right? And you obviously see this billboard, right, in front that shows you what kind of a building they are putting together or they're bringing up, right?
Okay.
You walk in, they take you up the floors, show you this is this floor, this is what's going to happen on this floor, and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you get hooked onto the idea of what the building is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, I want to be a part of this.
Right.
Can I start work on Monday? And they say, great, join us. Now, you have not thought about the manual labor that comes with carrying the bricks, mixing the cement,
Okay.
breaking walls so that you can put a window on it,
Uh-huh.
putting up those scaffolds, you know, all of that labor that comes to it, making the floors and then tiling it and then putting in the wires for the electricity, piping
Mm.
for the plumbing and all of this. You haven't thought about that. What you're looking at is the outward building, and you have fallen in love with the idea of what the building is going to look like, and you want to be a part of the idea of what
Uh-huh.
you have seen. But
Yeah.
now, when you then come to then arrive at work on Monday, and you're now taking part in the physical work and the hard work that comes with building it, you're quick to say, I can't do this. I don't want this. I want out. But
Yeah.
this is more of our relationships that we're having because
Mm.
we are falling in love with the idea of what I could be when I'm with Angie.
Yeah.
Because I've
Yeah.
seen who Angie is. If I align myself with her, yes, I'm a happy person when we spend time. I
Right.
love the idea of what we look like when we're together. But the question
Mm-hmm.
is, there are more issues to it than what we look like,
Ah.
which is what we then now start finding hard to protect because we want to still maintain the what we look like to
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
So even when things are going bad, we now can't open up because we want to maintain the what we look like.
Look like, oh my God, I love that illustration. It's so amazing because today at church, actually, they were talking about how Christians are looking for a ready-made a husband or a wife, a spouse. And instead, we must be looking at finding the perfect marble so that we
Yeah,
can carve it into the perfect person, as opposed you want to find it as a already sculpted
already
thing,
scout thing.
which is exactly what you're saying right now, because they show you a picture of how that already sculpted person is, and you're like, that is what I'm in love with. But you're not in love with getting to be part of, the molding
Process,
of that
the process.
sculpture, because it's always going to be a process with anybody anyway, for them to grow into the wife, into the mother, into the
Yeah,
spouse that is
yeah,
good for you. And
yeah,
obviously the foundation of is this the perfect marble is what's
yeah,
important, what we're calling compatibility. But even with the compatibility, it can still become toxic if you are not
yeah,
willing to do the work and you're trying to keep
yeah,
up appearances, as
yeah,
you have just been able to share with us now. And I think Gamo, I wanted to draw you back
yeah.
to the issue of being present, because I feel like
Mm,
we didn't hammer
exactly.
down
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
what being present is
yeah.
really all
Means.
about.
Yeah,
You explained that it was one of your issues that you feel you lacked in your relationship.
yeah,
um I see being present as being able to listen to the next
mhm,
person and actually hear. How did
yeah.
that play out in your situation, and what could you have done differently in terms of being present with them?
So when I speak about being present, right?
Hmm.
Um, Trust me, I could drop anything and everything for anybody that calls me or texts me a message to say they have a problem.
Right.
Now, imagine how that comes across to the person that you're with when you are able to understand and pick up on everybody else's problem, but you're not in line or you do not pick up on the emotional drain that they're going through and you're not there for them.
Okay.
So being available for everybody else, but not the person that is in your home with you. Being able to take the time to understand what the other person is going through that's out there, coming up with a solution for them and things work out for them.
Right.
But you are not taking as much notice on what's happening to the person that's sitting next to you and trying to find a solution to either what they are going through or what we are going through or what we need to deal with. Now, I can sit down, talk to an Angie, talk to her about a problem, give her advice, and she goes and things start working out for her. I sit down, I've got my own problems. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm not ready to talk about this. And I push you away.
Yeah, because it's always easier to deal with something that you can see from the outside, but not your
From
stuff.
the outside.
Yeah.
But now imagine I am building up on a situation where you keep seeing me dealing with other people's problems, but I'm not willing to face up to myself. I was not able to look at myself and be accountable to myself. I was not able to challenge myself enough to say, but dude, how are you measuring up? Are you stepping up or you're just going? I was just flowing with life. There was no time to sit back, reflect, and say, okay, dude, what do we do about the situation? Now, remember the whole goal thing. As long as you're not driving towards something, you are always not going to be present in what's happening to then take you where you want to go.
Yes.
So you're only going to deal with the immediate. But now look at it this way. I'm not dealing with the immediate because there is an emotional bit. There's the emotional side, which is the bigger part of what your partner or your spouse is or what your wife is, an emotional being.
Yeah. Yeah.
The moment you're not dealing with the emotional state of your partner as a husband, you are creating a whole more problems for yourself later. When she then checks out to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I keep trying to reach out to you. I keep trying to communicate. I keep trying to say things, but you are not understanding. You can just hear me, but you're not understanding me.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
you probably hearing me saying, we need to pay the bill. But what you're not understanding is I'm saying we need to create something that is sustainable so that we don't talk about the bill again month end.
Yes.
Because when the
yes.
time come to month end again and I'm talking about the bill, you're getting irritated.
Yeah, and I'm getting frustrated as well. Like I've brought it up. I said
trying.
Yeah.
You see, do you not see I'm trying? But the thing is, what you're trying at is something that is here. You're not looking at building something that is sustainable, that takes us out of thinking about bills. So I can hear you, but I'm not understanding what she's saying.
Right.
Because you're not present. I'm not present. Yeah. I don't even know the emotional state that that person is. So you remember when we spoke about this earlier. Now, the example that I would really want to bring us back to this is there is emotional damage that has gone on.
Right.
I then come in with my small band-aid because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, fine, this is a little cut that I caused. Right. Let me come and sit down, nurse my partner's wounds, and then I'll put the band-aid, everything will be okay.
Right.
Little do I know or do I understand that inside I've actually broken a bone, which needs a plaster, not a band-aid.
Not just a band-aid. Yep.
So now when I have put the plaster on that wound, I'm expecting you to be okay.
Yep.
But guess what? You're walking around with a broken bone, which doesn't have a cast to support it. So anything that I do or anything that I say is going to be painful to you because the moment I touch where it hurts or that area, that bone is going to be poking in your flesh.
And that is how you failed to get her back.
Yeah. And now there's the flesh around that bone is now going to start decaying. There's more problems that are coming up now. It's not just the bone, it's now the flesh. it's now the nerves, it's now this. So by the time I then come to the table, I'm still looking at this little cut that's there, but I don't know there are bigger issues in the background that I'm dealing with, which I never knew and I never got to understand that they were there.
Yeah. And I
When I'm
mean,
faced with them, I also don't want to then face up to the issue that I caused them. I'm now thinking, but where did this come from? I put a band-aid on this. This should be done.
yeah, yeah. And in that time, I mean, the accountability factor was not there, right? It's only now that you're like, if only I had started being accountable when I realized my person checking out, I would have said, you know what, this band-aid is not really working. Let me look out there and find other sources to actually get solutions to help us. Maybe would have been able to save this thing. But the thing is, like you're saying, I am also guilty of not being present, like living in the future, like I said, where you're failing to see why your person is showing up the way they're saying, because you're now looking out for your own satisfaction. So we talked about this as well, Gamu, that there's a time where in the relationship where you start, you are looking to just please the other person. You're showing up for them, especially when it comes to guys. You're taking your girl out for dates, blah blah blah, and but there's a time where you get complacent and you're just like, now what am I getting from this situation? And when you start to think me, and as opposed to them, which is how relationships should be going, I'm guilty of that. You're focusing on what they're doing wrong as opposed to what they actually bring to the table as well. So when you focus on what they're doing wrong, what you're focusing on is trying to change them. But in trying to change somebody, you're invalidating their feelings. Then you're just creating a whole lot of other problems where nobody is actually being heard and the communication just gets broken. So you've given us a very great example there that makes us understand what being present is, and also how, if you are in a situation right now where you're seeing things are not as great, chances are you are refusing to be accountable for the fact that there's a bigger issue that you caused. But the only way that issue can be resolved is you saying, you know what, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the person. Angeline is a know-it-all. I mean, I don't know if I came off as know-it-all before, but like one of my errors was I know my dad told me I know shit. Mind my French, but I know it all. So it's hard for you to convince me. I like being convinced, but you really have to try.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot. So that being annoyed, or maybe some people don't take well to it, because I'm used to my friends that can deal with that. That whole, I expect, because I think this way, the next person is going to think this way. Because I'm a spontaneous person. What's so hard about being spontaneous? Why do we have to do it the way you do it? I expected people to be on my wavelength, and that is another error that I did in my marriage, because I was expecting that if I see things this way, why? I'm going to assume that that's exactly how it's going to be for you. So I'm going to assume if I do this for you, or if I show up this way, you are going to appreciate it. And then when you don't, I'm upset.
I'm upset about it.
I'm upset about it. I've got some comments here. We're running out of time, Gamu. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know.
Very true story. We love the illustration, Gamcharai. Not a lot of people acknowledge the part they play in a failed marriage. It's always the other person. Kudos to you for acknowledging this. Another person says, great example. Okay, so those are all the comments that we have. Do you have anything from Instagram?
On Instagram, let me see. Yes, we do. Thanks, Clivet. There's quite a bit from Clivet that's coming through. So there's a quick one. She's also, one point she says, I've got a lot of questions. People always say you need to speak to your partner about everything, but we all need that one friend outside the relationship that gives you a different point of view on this. I think also she's asking what's your view on that. But I think we might have answered that in some way, to say you still need to give that individuality, allow your partner to have space to then have, that one, they should have their own space, like give them their own time, their me time. but also allow them to spend time with their friends, because like we're saying, those people that are around them bring, certain support structure to them that you can't give them.
Yeah.
I can't
Can
give
they
you
share
peer pressure.
intimate? Can they share intimate things about the? Okay, you are shaking your head. I don't know
But
what that means.
sorry, I think I jumped the gun before you answered. Can they share?
Can if say I have my friends, can I share
Yeah.
with them intimate issues that we go through as my support, or is it that a taboo in a relationship or in a marriage to share, some stuff? Because I mean, I know a lot of guys are like, keep my stuff out of the public. By public, it's not even social media, it's like even my friends, I can't tell my friends. What do you think about that?
For me, the thing is, look, I'm probably now a different kind of a human being
Yeah.
because of what I've already gone through. Um, I've learned that talking about stuff helps a lot.
Okay.
So either we're going to get help as a couple because you spoke to somebody that now has an idea about how we can handle stuff. I also have people that I might talk to that will also maybe give me insight or even
Right.
show me that, dude, this is where you're going wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so I still believe that, guys, this whole thing of us shutting behind doors and trying to figure out things, yes, to some extent, I'm not saying at every single little thing, run to your friend and say, okay, this is what's happening. What should I
Right.
do? But there's
Right.
certain things that probably you have tried to go over them. You guys have tried between the two of you to come up with solutions and it's
Right.
not working. And we're talking about things that have a lasting effect on your relationship, as in, is it then going to destroy your relationship later on if you don't
Right.
deal with such an issue? If it's
Hmm.
a petty thing, well, look, just deal with it between the two of you. But if it's
Right.
something that's building up and then has got the potential to ruin your marriage, then guys, look for help. Because do you know what the problem is? We then go to people when things are so broken that people will look at you thinking, but what were you doing all along? Why didn't you say anything? How
Yeah.
many times have you spoken to somebody and you're thinking to yourself, you are going through this for this long? But
Yeah.
yet, when you're together, they're portraying happy things. Things are
Yeah.
going well. But now we run the risk of then talking when things are beyond repair.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I would say, look, if it's something that probably has an effect or that would then potentially break your marriage, talk about it. Find
Right.
help. Because what you're
Right.
trying to do is you're not just talking about it for the sake of talking about it. You're talking
Right.
about it because you're trying to bring a solution to it. So if we
Indeed.
try to work it out and we have failed, let's find somebody that can help us. Why? Because we want to maintain and we want to still build our relationship and stay in it and be happy in it.
Indeed. Indeed. I mean, we are out of time. Thank
Yeah.
God this is a series and not just one
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
so it's for everybody that's watching, we are coming back. But to close off this topic of the part where we're taking responsibility of our parts in it, we want to get to a point where we set the tone for the next one, which is I'll just give the topic is it's time to let go when the
Mm.
relationship has become toxic, right?
Yeah.
Um, there is a position where if you guys are still able to work things out, that's great. And this is the
That's
stuff
great.
that we're talking about, where
Yeah.
just look at what you're doing and see how you're showing up if you can change something. But
Yeah.
there's going to also be a point of no return where you've just done so much that
Yeah.
even if you're trying to come back now, it's almost like their heart is hardened, almost like where I am now. I don't know about Gamu, but like where you're like, I do get it that there was my part in it, but I can't see myself trusting again a person who's put me through this or who's hurt me this way, because we hurt each other without knowing. So the next
Yeah.
person doesn't know. So Gamu, I wanted to know uh,
Mhm.
how how you were or how you were feeling at the time that you had to leave that
Mhm.
situation, because what I don't what I can't resonate with is when a person is taking accountability of what they've done wrong, they still
Yeah.
want to keep the person.
Yeah.
You know you've
Yeah.
hurt them, but you
True.
still want them in your life. How
Yeah.
was that process for you, just to wrap up?
I would say from the jump, that was a very painful process.
Okay.
That was not the easiest of times. So this is me. I even got to a point of creating a prayer group. I had 10 people that I'd put together. I'm like, guys, you guys gotta help me pray.
Right.
I need this thing to work. I need this thing to be resolved. I need to save my family. I need to save my marriage.
Right.
But here's the problem. After pushing all of that, there is now need for me to go in person and deal with the issues that caused us to get to where we were. Now, did I know the depth of the damage that I'd caused at that point in time? No.
Okay.
So which means I could not even look. There are a lot of things that we can pray until we are blue in the face.
Yeah.
You need to then align your actions with what you're praying about.
Right.
So I had to go through a process of having a prayer group, but then still not knowing what I need to do and how I needed to deal with this situation for me to get her back, for me to get my marriage back, for me to get my family back. I still could not comprehend what exactly I needed to do. Now, you can imagine how it is where it's like you're holding somebody from a cliff. They're about to fall off on a cliff.
Yeah.
You can feel your hands slipping off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the moment you get to the fingertips, you know that this is gone.
Yeah.
As much as I want this, as much as I feel I need this, that grip is gone. There's no way that you can save this person on that fingertip level.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up getting to a point where I'm like, okay, as much as I wanted to save this relationship, I can't then keep pushing at it because I am only now damaging what is happening between the two of us by trying even more. You get to a point where you trying, you're now
more.
You're now imposing yourself. You're now damaging the other person because you keep wanting them to see what you are seeing and how you are seeing things. But for them, it's a journey that they can't take anymore. And you keep imposing yourself on it.
Yeah.
And it was a very painful process. I will tell you that. I know a lot of men would want to feel like, hey, I got this. Yeah, well, it's done. It's gone. I can get any woman any other time.
Yeah.
Trust me, you go through a period where your heart is broken. It's wrenched. You feel like you don't want to you can't trust anyone, not really trust anyone else. You can't trust anyone else with your heart again. You don't want to give your heart to anybody again.
Right.
And even if somebody comes along, there is still that fear to say, will they not leave again?
Again, yeah.
Will I not mess up again? But then with time, which is why I know you're then put over a period of time. So you know what? After you break something up, take the time to heal. Because in that time you're healing, you are now understanding, what did I do wrong? What can I do better?
Right.
Now, trust me, that's a very painful process for men too. That's a very painful place to be. And it takes a lot for you to then bounce back. But when that decision comes, it's not an easy one. It's really not an easy one because you're thinking to yourself, one, I'm not just failing me, I am failing my partner. And in a situation where you have kids, you're now thinking to yourself, I have failed my kids.
Yeah.
I can live with myself for failing myself, but can I live with myself for failing my partner? That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing that weighs heavy on you, that I have failed this person. Then you'd
Right.
start thinking, I have failed my kids. So
Right.
a lot of things weigh heavy on you after that decision is made to say, you know what? I'm letting it go. So the moment you keep having those things, you will keep trying to fight. But you will see that, you know what, I'm only damaging things here. I'd rather let it go. But the pain of dealing with who you have failed more than you're failing yourself is, I don't know. I can't even wish it on anybody. I think this is why we are trying to build this now to say,
Yeah.
can we talk about it? So that
Yeah.
if somebody that is still hanging by a thread, find a way of resolving whatever it is that they're going through. If you're still fighting for something, find somebody that you can talk to that will bring the two of you together so that you're pulling at the same time. The other thing is when we're fighting for these relationships, we're pulling at different intervals. So we feel like
Yes.
we're not doing anything. So when you're
Yeah.
putting effort, I'm probably at the point where I'm wiping my sweat and I'm thinking, oh gosh, why is Angie being like this? By the
Yeah.
time you're thinking, but why is Gami being like this? I'm now pulling at the relationship. Okay, let's make it work. So we're pulling at
You're done.
different.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
then just wearing each other out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean that's a good way to end because that's a segue that we're going to use into the next topic. But I just wanted to say, great to hear from your perspective because we are talking from a place of you had to start pulling when the other had left.
yeah,
I was pulling before the other one was pulling, and
yeah.
you my my ex in the situation, but what is painful also, I think a lot of people feel that when the person who's pulling the gun is the
Yeah,
one who has no pain. It's just that the pain, like
true.
you said, is happening at different levels. So
Different
the
levels.
time
Yeah,
that I went through the whole I want to also die, I also want a prayer group and all of that, it was
yeah,
before anybody else was involved because, well, we hadn't announced it. But you would
yeah,
have also been trying to pull and you'd also been crushing. And by the time the other person, yes, there's a pain that you see your person is crushed
it's
and
going
all
through.
of that,
Yeah,
but you also were crushed and they have no ability of taking that into account while they are being crushed. So
yeah,
I just wanted to say for everybody who's going through what we went through,
yeah.
it's not taboo for you to be feeling uh
The way. Yeah,
like you're being crushed by someone who loves you,
yeah,
and also for you to feel guilty that you are crushing someone that you love but also continue to make the same decision. Like where I
yeah.
am, I was weighed with guilt.
Mm,
Imagine seeing a man like Gamu crushed and wanting you back and all that,
yeah,
but it's also a decision that it's not done lightly. Nobody wants this D thing, but it does happen. And the only
yeah.
way that we can prevent it from happening is like we said already, self-love and all that stuff. So we'll be
Mm,
back, Gamu, with a few more people that are going to be in the panel to talk about when it gets
yeah,
toxic and how we can let go when it's time to let go, when we have failed ourselves, when we have failed our partners, and we are taking accountability for it so that we can be
mm,
better people. There is
yeah.
always going to be a rainbow after a
After
storm.
it. Yeah.
I had fun, Gamu. I don't know about you.
No, this was fun. This was great. I totally had a good time. I
Yeah,
mean, we had a whole hour before the actual hour, and then now we've
yeah.
even gone over the hour by like 30 minutes and stuff. But yeah, that's just how much fun it is, and we're able to now talk about it.
Yep, I was just putting the comments here. Everybody saying awesome chats. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you again next week.
Most definitely, guys. Sign out.
Cheers.